Hello and welcome to another lesson from Level Up Mathematics. In today's lesson, we will be exploring polynomial division. In previous lessons, you've learned to add, subtract, and multiply all types of polynomials. In this lesson, we will be using the process of long division to find the quotient of two polynomials. Now, we can apply the steps of long division to divide these polynomials, but let's remember first the important terms and the steps of doing long division before we apply this concept to polynomials. So in our first problem here, we have 1,476 divided by 12. In part A, it says label the parts of the division problem above. So if you remember from 5th and 6th grade, this top number is your dividend, and the bottom number is your divisor. So what this means is you're taking 1,476 and dividing it into 12 parts. So in the box at the right, we're going to rewrite the problem and use long division to find the quotient. And hopefully this will kind of help you remember the steps for long division. So what you do is you take your divisor, which is 12, and put it on the outside of the division house. And then you put your dividend, 1,476. You put that on the inside of the division house, and then you start the process. So step one is you're going to divide. So we're asking ourselves, how many 12s are there in 14? So let me write this down. Our first step is to divide. So 14 divided by 12. Well, that will go in one time. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to multiply. So you're going to multiply that 1 times the divisor. So 1 times 12 is 12. The next thing you're going to do is subtract. So 14 minus 12 is 2. And then you will bring down. So I'll bring down the 7. Now you'll start this process all over again. You go straight back up to the top. Your first step goes to divide. So 27 divided by 12. Well, there are two 12s in 27, so I put a 2 there. Then you multiply. That would give me 24. Then you subtract. That would give me 3. Then you bring down, and you start the process all over again. 36 divided by 12 is 3. Then you multiply. 3 times 12 is 36. Then you subtract, and we get a remainder of 0. So 1,476 divided by 12 is equal to 123. Now this 123 is called your quotient. So we have a dividend, a divisor, and a quotient. All right. Now, polynomial long division works very similar. We're going to use the same steps: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and then we'll repeat the process until we're done. Sometimes we'll have remainders and sometimes we won't. So we'll look at both cases, all right? So in problem 1, it says use long division to find the quotient for each of the following. And in problem A, we have 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 divided by 2x plus 3. So in this problem, our divisor is 2x plus 3. And we're dividing it into our dividend, which is 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. Now, again, we're going to follow the same steps. We're going to take our first term and divide it by our first term. Okay, so let me write that down to the side here. We're taking 2x squared and we're dividing it by 2x. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and x squared divided by x is simply x. So I'm going to put it above the x term. All right, so we did step 1, divide. Let me write that down. Next step is multiply. Now, when we're multiplying that x by the entire divisor. So we have to multiply the x by the 2x, and we have to multiply x by 3. So x times 2x is 2x squared, and x times 3 is positive 3x. All right, so we did the divide, then we did the multiply. Now we're going to do the subtract step. Now, in the subtract step, you have to be careful here. This is where most students make their mistakes. We are subtracting this entire polynomial. We're subtracting 2x squared, and we're subtracting 3x. Now, remember, subtraction is the same thing as addition of the opposite. So to make this a little bit easier, we're going to rewrite this subtraction problem as addition of the opposite. So change this to addition, change 2x squared to negative 2x squared, and change positive 3x to negative 3x. So addition of the opposite. All right, so let's perform that. This would zero out, and we would have negative 5x plus negative 3x is negative 8x. And our next step is bring down. So I'm going to bring down the negative 12. Now I go all the way back to the top, and I start this process again. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. So I'm going to take my first term, negative 8x, and divide it by positive 2x. Now these x's would divide to 1, and negative 8 divided by 2 would be negative 4. So I put a minus 4. All right, so we did the divide. Next step is to multiply. Now we are multiplying negative 4 by everything in the divisor. So negative 4 times 2x and negative 4 times 3. So negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x, and negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. All right, our next step is to subtract. But remember, to make this easier, we're going to rewrite the subtraction as addition of the opposite. So this would be plus, negative 8x becomes positive 8x, minus 12 becomes plus 12. All right, so negative 8x plus 8x, that zeroes out. Negative 12 plus 12, that zeroes out. So we're left with a remainder of 0. So 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 divided by 2x plus 3 is equal to x minus 4 with no remainder. All right. Now in our next problem, we'll look at what to do if you do have a remainder. So in problem B, we have x squared minus 2x minus 4 divided by x plus 4. Let me kind of separate this a little bit so it's easier to see. All right, I'm going to take my divisor, x plus 4. And then I'll put the dividend here. And then I'll start my long division steps, which are first step, divide. So take your first term divided by your first term. So x squared divided by x would give you x. Put that above the negative 2x. Next step is multiply. So I'm going to multiply x times x plus 4. So x times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Next step, subtract. So I'm subtracting this entire expression, and I'm going to change that to addition of the opposite. So when I do that, this zeroes out. Negative 2x plus negative 4x is negative 6x. And then next step is bring down. After you bring down, you go through the steps all over again. You divide, negative 6x divided by x. This would divide to 1, and negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. So I'll put a negative 6 there. Next step is multiply. Negative 6 times the quantity x plus 4. So negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. Our next step is subtract. So I'm subtracting this entire expression, which becomes plus, plus, plus. So this zeroes out. Negative 4 plus 24 is positive 20. Now, x will not go into 20, so that means this is our remainder. So our quotient of x squared minus 2x minus 4 divided by x plus 4 is x minus 6 plus our remainder of 20 over our divisor, x plus 4. So if you get a remainder, you just take it and write it over your divisor. Okay. All right, example 2. Now, in our first two examples, our dividends were quadratic functions. They both had a square. Now we're going to talk about functions that are raised to the third power, and it's the same process. It just might take you a few extra steps. All right, so look at problem A. We have 5x cubed minus 2x squared minus 8x Now understand that's to the 1 power. So we have a 3 power, a 2 power, a 1 power, and a 0 power. And we're dividing that by x minus 1. So I'm going to take my divisor, x minus 1, write it on the outside, and we'll put 5x cubed minus 2x squared minus 8x, and then plus 4. Now I'll take my first term and divide it by my first term. So 5x to the 3rd power divided by x would leave me with 5x squared. So I want to put that above the x squared term. All right, so we divided. Next step is multiply. So I'm going to multiply 5x squared times the quantity x minus 1. So 5x squared times x is 5x cubed. 5x squared times negative 1 is negative 5x squared. Now we'll subtract this expression and rewrite as addition of the opposite. So 5x cubed minus 5x cubed would zero out. Negative 2x squared plus positive 5x squared is 3x squared. And then we will bring down negative 8x. All right, we'll start this process again. First term, 3x squared divided by the first term of your divisor, x. So 3x squared divided by x is simply 3x. So we'll put, and it's positive 3x, so I put plus 3x right here. Now I'm going to take that 3x and multiply it by the divisor, x minus 1. So 3x times x gives me 3x squared. 3x times negative 1 gives me negative 3x. Now I want to subtract that expression. So this would be plus, negative, positive. This would zero out. Negative 8x plus 3x is negative 5x. And then bring down the plus 4. Now start that process over again. Take your negative 5x and divide it by the first term of your divisor to get negative 5. So minus 5 on the top. Now multiply. Negative 5 times x, negative 5x, and negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. Now we will subtract this entire expression. So this becomes plus, plus, minus. So this zeroes out, and 4 plus negative 5 is negative 1. So that's our remainder. So our quotient here, our answer, is 5x squared plus 3x minus 5 plus a remainder of negative 1 over the divisor, which was x minus 1. All right, let me make some space here for our next problem. All right, problem B. We have 5x plus 2x cubed minus 4 divided by x minus 2. Now, there's a couple things going on in this problem that we need to address. First of all, in our first polynomial, number 1, it's written out of order. It's not in standard form, because in standard form, the largest power, the 2x cubed, should go first. The other problem is it's missing an x squared term. So I'm going to rewrite this polynomial in standard form, and I'm going to fill in, we have 2x cubed, then I'm going to add in a 0x squared, okay, because we need an x squared term. Then we have a 5x and then minus 4 that we're dividing by x minus 2. So if your polynomial is not in standard form, you need to rewrite it before you start the long division process, and you need to add in any missing terms, all right? So I'm going to take my divisor, x minus 2, and in just a minute I'm going to show you why you need that 0 term. So we have 2x cubed plus 0x squared plus 5x minus 4. All right, we'll do this the same way. We're going to take 2x cubed divided by x. So 2x cubed divided by x would give me 2x squared. So I want to put that over the x squared term. Now, had I not put a 0x squared, I wouldn't have an x squared term in my dividend. So now I know where to put my first quotient, 2x squared. Now I'm going to take that and multiply it. 2x squared times x and 2x squared times negative 2. So that would be 2x cubed. 2x squared times negative 2 is negative 4x squared. So again, I needed a 0x squared because I needed a place to line up my numbers. Then we'll subtract this polynomial. But remember, subtraction is the same thing as addition of the opposite. So plus, negative, positive. And this would zero out, and this would be 4x squared. And then I would bring down my positive 5x. So then I'll take my 4x squared and divide it by x. That will leave me 4x. So it's positive 4x. All right, now I want to multiply. 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 2 is negative 8x. Now I'm going to subtract this polynomial, which is the same thing as addition of the opposite. So this would zero out, and this would leave me 13x, and then bring down minus 4. All right, again, start the process again. 13x divided by x would be 13, and it was positive, so I'll put plus 13. Now multiply, that would be 13x minus 26. Subtract that entire polynomial, and we'll get plus, negative, positive. And that would zero out and leave me 22. So we have a remainder on this problem also. So our quotient is 2x squared plus 4x plus 13. And our remainder is 22 over our divisor, which was x minus 2. All right. I have one more problem and I'd like you to try this one on your own. So pause the video, try it on your own, and then press play when you're ready to check your answer. All right, welcome back. Let's see how you did. I took my divisor, 2x minus 1, and I divided it into 4x squared minus 6x plus 1. So I took my first term, 4x squared, and divided it by 2x to get 2x. I put that above the negative 6x. Then I multiplied to get 4x squared minus 2x. Then I subtracted the entire thing, which means addition of the opposite. So plus, negative, positive. So negative 6x plus 2x is negative 4x. And then I bring down plus 1. Now I repeat that process. Take negative 4x and divide it by 2x, which gives me negative 2. So this should be minus 2. Now multiply negative 4x. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. Now subtract this entire thing, which is plus, plus, negative. So this would zero out, and 1 plus negative 2 is negative 1. So your quotient here should have been 2x minus 2 plus negative 1 over 2x minus 1. Now, if necessary, pause the video and correct anything that you got wrong. If you got it right, then that concludes today's lesson, polynomial division.